Hey everybody, Doug here from 2 Plus Stuff, and welcome to another day of painting. Now, if you're new to the channel and you're just joining in, here's basically what's happening. Essentially I picked up, in anticipation for Warhammer Quest Cursed City, I got so excited about this idea I had of playing Warhammer Quest games with folks online, and so I went, because I was too excited to wait, I went and grabbed Silver Tower, and so that's the original Warhammer Quest game that came out in the AOS setting. That's the first one that came out for AOS. And so this week I have a whole bunch of pre-done videos that go out in the mornings. It's all the fan lore from the most recent contest we put out for GUR. And I have just been painting like a madman to paint up a whole bunch of Silver Tower minis. There's like 50 or something like that. So last night, we did the Fire Slayer hero, and we finished all the Carrack Acolytes. Everyone still needs to be based, but that'll go real quickly. Today we've got Pink, Blue, and Brimstone Horrors, as well as our Knight Questor, which the community opted to go for a Anvils of the Heldenhammer scheme. So we're going to do that. So we'll move to the downward cam. And this is a very relaxed and informal type of thing. And so, if you have any thoughts, discussions, basically initially are using contrast paints. Some of these I'm doing, I guess, traditional paints. Is that what we're calling, I guess, now? Yeah, I'm kind of doing a mix. My favorites projects are the ones that use both. So I think for the horrors and stuff, actually today's going to be a lot of traditional paints with the exception of the Brimstone Horrors. I like those with the contrast. And so, as some of you may know, my goal is always to work as efficiently as possible. And so we're going to grab this boy here. Basically, I'm going to put a thin layer of my initial colors on all the guys. And while that takes time to dry, then I'll go back and grab the brimstones because they're going to be knocked out real fast. So fast. Alright. And the nice thing is I do actually have some topics in between segments here, because tonight is my Soulbound group. So I got to make some decisions, and I might be taking some help from the community about those. So I'm just starting off with some, what is this? What do you call it? Pink horror. Oh, that's fitting. I know it's a layer paint, but it's going over white, and then so it'll just pop real nice and easy. And we are going to do 2 coats of it on here, I think, just to make sure it still seems a little thick. There we go. Old school paints, massive advocate for contrast. Oh, me too. Absolutely. My favorite look that you can achieve right now with GW stuff is putting down contrast and then going and just doing one highlight layer. Like, honestly, it looks fantastic. That's what we did with the Fire Slayer yesterday. All the Carrack Acolytes there, with the exception of, I think, 2 of them that I did a specific way that actually a viewer suggested, with basically the Deepkin paint scheme that came out before contrast. That kind of stuff. But with the exception of that, they were all contrast plus a highlight layer. And the highlight layer is honestly just more to clear out and even out the... sometimes contrast, if it's not applied like perfectly even, it can get like a coffee stain kind of look thing on big open spaces. So that was definitely more to kind of clean that up than, just fully painting. Contrast did all the work. But yeah, I like them. I like them quite a bit. Jeremy, hey there, Doug. When doing research for your lore videos, where do you get most of your information? Most of it comes from battle tomes, if I'm honest with you. Beyond that, it depends on the video. So, most of my videos are definitely tied to a single book, if I'm honest. So, for example, if I'm doing, my Wrath of the Everchosen series, I'll talk about that. if I, and then obviously if something in that main story reminds me of a tale from another, I'll go ahead and bring that source in as well, just to kind of reference it. But honestly, mostly battle tomes. For the most part, I will be honest with you, I am not a strong reader. By that I mean, and just in terms of like the words per minute that you can read and digest and like have, a pretty good grasp on what I can't remember what the like recall kind of a thing. I'm not actually that good. And so for me, the battle tomes are great because, quite frankly, the information is typically already broken down into nice sections for me. So like, if you're in the leaders section, we'll do a video on leaders and I'll read all their little entries and I'll make little synopsises of them. Yeah. I don't do much novel coverage for that reason, is because I tend to be very bad about reading novels, if I'm honest with you. I'm trying to get into audiobooks. I enjoyed the last one. I'm listening right now to the most recent Warcry one, the one that has the Scions of the Flame on the cover. I've heard great things about it. The narrator's not my fave, but, whatever. We'll get used to him. Yeah. Flying Irish, hey buddy. Got Fire Slayers coming up for a warband, so looking forward to get stuck in. Oh yeah. Yeah, honestly, Fire Slayer flesh with a thin, just a little bit, just to pop out some of the, even at the color with Cadian Fleshtone, super good. And so, like I said, right now, we're just throwing down our super sloppy base coat. That's why I've got the crap brush out, and we're just being real messy about it. The whole goal of my painting style is how can I make it look like I did more work than I actually did. And so that's what we do. Start off with a nice base color, and then everything from there just kind of works outward. Alright, and there we are with the base colors for our pink horrors. Now we're going to grab Thousand Sun Blue for our blue horrors. And I am going to make these extremely dark because I want them to kind of match my gross Blanche style-ish Slaves to Darkness type thing that I've talked about. Let's see. Made the stream. Awesome. Hey, Evan. Welcome. It's cool to have insight into your methodology. Something I like about your channel is how you sign off with, "Now why is this really cool?" Yeah, honestly, so I didn't always do that. My older videos, if you watch them, did not have them at all. There's actually a very specific point when I realized that what I wanted to do with YouTube. So basically, we had moved into a small apartment, and I didn't have much room for recording at all. And I was kind of getting burnt out on making as much content as I was. The channel was just kind of starting to take her off, but it was kind of plateaued for a bit. And then I was like, up until then I had basically been doing lore videos. I was copying the things that already existed. So if you look at a lot of 40k lore channels, a lot of them, and this is not a disparaging comment, I cannot stress that enough, essentially like pull up the wiki and they read it to you, which is great. Some people, I know I certainly loved it when I was younger. And I was like, yeah, but it's not what I wanted to bring. And so I got a little despondent. And then I was like, okay, what do I want to bring? What's the D-Griggs unique selling proposition, I guess. And then I came out with my lore video on the Stormcast Eternals, and that was the first time that I asked the question, now why is this cool? Because I wanted to bring it into a conversation outside of just what was in basically a wiki entry. And so that was the first time I did it, and it is still ranks high as one of my most popular videos. And that was the moment where I was like, oh, like, there's more, people are open to more than just the reading of a Wikipedia entry, like understanding why fantasy is cool and understanding implications and what, because there are humans in this universe, so like we can relate to them. So understanding, how we perceive this, and how would other factions perceive blank, that kind of stuff. So anyway, so don't try to copy other people, just do your own thing. This is pretty much the sum of that story. And of course, I still do take inspiration from other folks, and there's nothing wrong with that. Nothing's new under the sun. Don't feel like you have to reshape the wheel or whatever, but yeah. Let's see. Flying Irish, contrast paint for the Fire Slayer skin is great. It saves a great deal of time. Absolutely, yes. Yeah, what I did for mine, in case you missed it yesterday, did Fire Slayer flash over everything, and then I went through with my gold color, picked out all the runes on his skin, and then gave him basically a thinned out Agrax Earthshade wash. I used Army Painter Mid-Brown, but that's basically like a 2-to-1 mix of medium and brown contrast. So yeah, he came out really well. I like him because you need that little bit of a wash though, because if you don't, the gold goes over the contrast paint super well, but it's that little wash at the end that seeps into the lines that go between the runes and the skin that adds a little bit of depth and a little bit of a border between where the runes and the skin are. And so just because they're both kind of warm colors, the flesh and the actual runes themselves, it kind of helps break them up just a smidge. So I highly recommend that. Let's see. Morning, just watched your epic siege battle with rerolling ones. Oh yeah, that was a blast. That was a absolute blast. It was a long day. We were all just like done. Dunzo by the end of it. We thoroughly ruined Jack's house, made it smell like beer and farts and coffee, and you're just like, we're done. We're leaving. You deal with this, Jack. Oh, man. Try to get your full deposit back now, sucker. Okay, that needs to dry, and I got one more base coat to do before we hop into the the brimstones, and that is I'm going to throw a quick layer of black down on our anvils of the Heldenhammer. Let's see. I don't know why I feel AOS novels haven't found their groove like 40k books have. I would to an extent agree with that. The thing is, they do have a different stable of authors for some and then others. Like, it's not like all Black Library authors work on both kind of a deal. There are some fantastic authors on the AOS side that I really do like. My favorite, of course, was always Josh Reynolds, but he has since left the Black Library. But who else? C.L. Werner. He's been a really cool one. He's had some great books. If you count it, they let Aaron Densky Bowden, who was a very prolific 40k writer, basically let him go to town on some of the cool short stories within the Slaves to Darkness book. He wrote some of those, and they are just so cool. I don't know if he wrote all of them or just some of them, but they are some of my favorite stories. Well, yeah. I know, I get what you mean. I'm not sure what it is. Sometimes I still think GW is still trying to find out what their audience is when it comes to Age of Sigmar, just because, you know, I mean, they scared away all the fantasy players when AOS dropped, and you know, now some of those more competitive folks are coming back in, so it's a matter of trying to understand, like, what kind of fantasy and fiction do people actually want. I can see that being a hard thing to grasp when all you have is sales data. You know what I mean? Like, you can take polls, but okay. Making sure I didn't miss any massive obvious parts of his armor. I think we're pretty good. I didn't realize his shield came that close to his arm. I would have left a sub-assembly. Okay, he's actually super good. All right. ADB wrote 4 of them. I think the 2-pagers. Yes, I believe that is true. Okay. Wargamer Willie, I'm sorry, I'm trying to keep up with the chat. Same thing as yesterday as more people file in. It goes a little faster, so if I missed your question, please, I'm not ignoring you. Just go ahead and ask it again here. Wargamer Willie, thank you so much for your time and patience with these streams. Oh, absolutely, I'm so excited. Do you know if you can buy the Warhammer coins on their own? I am not going to lie to you. They started doing that the moment I moved out here to Iowa, and as such, there's no Games Workshop store anywhere remotely near me. I think it's like the nearest one is, what, like an hour and a half away? So I just kind of tuned that whole thing out. Someone else, can you answer that for our friend here in the chat? I do not know. Doug, how'd you feel about painting 20 pink horrors, 40 blue horrors, and 40 brimstone? I swear I'll never do it again. Well, I honestly don't mind it at all. I just don't want to build them. I painted, how many did I paint? I must have painted at least 30 of each when I did my demon army back. Yeah, no, I don't mind it. Because honestly, they're all basically one color. And that works for me. It helps for stuff like this where it's just kind of blissful working. Not sure why, but YouTube has been a jerk and not let me know when you're live unless I click subscriptions. Weird. Well, I'm glad you're here now. Good morning, Cody. I subbed when I saw your Stormcast and Realm Gate videos. Oh, thank you. Thomas, am I using contrast? I'm using a mix of contrast and regular paints across most of these models. For the horrors and the Stormcast, they're going to be more traditional paints, but the brimstones are going to be all contrast all the time. It makes it really easy. So you throw down yellow, and then you go halfway up the model with Griff Charger Orange, or Griff, whatever. Yeah, Griff Charger Orange, I think it is. Or Griff Hound, I don't know. One of the orange, whatever the orange contrast is. And then you do the last little bits with red. And then you finish it off with a little bit of a dry brush on the top with some black paint, just to drive home the fact that it's schmogy. Actually, I want to get a bigger brush. This is taking forever, my God. Whole point is one thick coat. What am I doing here? Let's see. Josh Reynolds was your favorite. Yeah, he was the best. Besides Bretonnian and Wood Elves, who can really still be salty about fantasy? Tons of people. No, but I understand what you mean. For me personally, I don't have a lot of sympathy for folks who, you know, the game just changed around them and they could play AOS, like their army translated, but they just don't want to. Like, you know, you can be upset, but then just don't try to ruin anyone else's good time. The people that I do honestly just have nothing but to say, like, oh, I'm sorry, man. It is the Tomb King and Bretonnian players, because, you know, I mean, they just went away. You know, there's nothing to do. Do you know if there's any good free guild units to use as city guard for my D&D games? I would say handgunners. I don't know. Yeah, I mean, that's probably the best thing right now. Games Workshop really just needs to update their human kits. The free guild stuff, you know, it's all stuck in the, you know, French Empire or German Empire, sorry, looking times where, and they're all static because they have to be able to fit on square bases back when they were from fantasy. So I don't know. It also depends on what kind of city you're looking to create there. So you're about to watch how Doug does all of his batch painting like a madman. All right, so I'm going to take a little bit more of this. We're going to thin this stuff down into basically a wash. This is our same pink horror. And I'm just going back in to kind of fill in some of those areas where the white kind of popped through or made it a little blotchy. Doesn't need a ton. This will be our second thin coat. I guess it's more of a glaze than a wash. I think I said wash earlier. But yeah, just adding a little bit more pink. Same pink. Looking closely for any parts we're missing. Nope, that one looks good. Hey, I know you have slept since then, but I remember in a video many moons ago you spoke of a site that gives you a cheat sheet for command abilities and when to use them. Okay, Adrian, that is AOS reminders. If you just literally go to Google and type in AOS reminders, it'll bring you right there. Wonderful site. I actually just used it the other day because I had a small game myself. And I needed to keep track of stuff. Still forgot a bunch of stuff. Turns out the reminder sheet only works if you actually read it, you know, during a game. But, you know, got my head in the right space anyway. Cheats help those who help themselves, kind of a thing going on. Alright, that one's good. We'll clean this off. Again, I super thin that paint down, so it's going to take a hot sec to dry. Let's see. What models am I painting? We have a Knight Questor, who's going to be Anvils of the Heldenhammer, 2 pinks, 4 blues, and technically 8 brimstone, but of course they're 2 to a base, so. For our Silver Tower adventures. Let's see. Looking for questions here. Question: are you using the FAQ for Silver Tower? Oh, you mean the FAQ that's longer than the rule book? You know, I have not looked it over yet. Is there something I should know about? Let me ask you that first. But my gut tells me that yes, I was going to do that. Because, I mean, even just through a casual read through, there, I had some questions where I was like, so how does this work with blank? How does the Griffhound function on his own? All those kinds of things. So I certainly will look at it for sure. Another question. I'm going to run a friendly 1k AOS using the Swift Hawk agents. Basically old school high elves with like 3 units. I guess I use the order rules. Yes, you would use Grand Alliance order. Which I haven't actually looked at in forever. I think they're in the core book. But yep, that would be my guesstimation. Of course, you would still have access to realm, artifacts and that kind of stuff. So just kind of keep that in mind. Be mindful of that. Because as long as you're, the full army, you can access those things. Why not? FAQ was useful to me in understanding respite. Yes, that's another one where I was like, this feels like it feels like the wording for some of the things. So they want to have the core rules be very simple, okay? And it is. It's a very simple game. And in the back they were like clarifying rules. So like, for example, in the Silver Tower, you can rest, which is respite, if there's no enemies in your room, right? Your guys, they kill off the enemies that round, and then they can kind of take a breath. It lets them heal up a wound, a couple wounds, something like that. But and that's pretty much all the initial entry for it says. But then you flip to the back of the book and it's like, hey, if you take 2 respites in a row, like something catastrophic happens. And you're like, but wait, I feel like there's a line that should have been connecting these things, and maybe they should have been in the same place. I don't really know why. Why did you separate those concepts? Because I feel like respite should just have all its information in one specific spot. It was just funny formatting, honestly, I think, more than rules writing, if I'm totally honest with you. They wanted to make the booklet look as easy and inviting as possible, which I do think they did. It's just when it kind of comes to some of those nitty-gritty details, it's like, I don't know what you meant because you split it up. All right, so that's our second thin coat drying on everybody. Man, you're gonna knock these guys out quick. I can already feel it. Let's see. Again, there are a lot of questions, so if I miss yours, I'm not ignoring you. Just ask it again. FAQ was useful. Okay, yep, I wrote it down. Question: what kind of game is Warhammer Quest? Is it comparable to Gloomhaven and The Descent? Unfortunately, I have not played those. It is a dungeon explorer where basically you get a tile. Here we go. So this would be like example of one of the tiles. You come in one side. Here you have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 spaces that are apparently in hop, skitch, whatever it is, formation for playground play. Anyway, and then you spend actions to move around here and fight enemies and that kind of stuff. When you walk into a room, so say this is the exit, person here at the end has to do like an explore action, and then you put down the next tile. And then the enemies will generate, and it'll have its own little storyline and that kind of stuff. So it is a board game where you're just kind of meandering through. I don't know, what is essentially supposed to be like hell. It's a much simpler version of Gloomhaven. There you go. So now you must respite if there are no enemies. You must respite if there are no enemies. And everyone rolls a dice, and if anyone rolls under their skill cards, under the amount of skill cards they have, ambush. Ooh, that's brutal. Let's see. Yeah, level generation is semi-random. I do know that. Like, basically, when you go on a specific adventure, it'll be like, pull these specific cards out, put them in, some of them stay up higher, some of them go down lower on the deck. There you go. All right. And we're just throwing down are orange. So the way that I do the contrast for fire, right? So I do the whole, whatever part of them I want to be on fire, do the whole thing with yellow. And then I come back and I go up to the halfway mark of where I want the fire to be with orange. Then you take it and you just kind of poke, a little stipple. This way it kind of helps the colors kind of bleed together just a smidge, so it's not like a stark, you know, a harsh line of fire of changing colors. And then just do that. And then we're going to do the exact same thing with Blood Angel's red, going halfway up the orange. We'll just stipple a little bit. You want to make sure you keep every color, or at least some of every color that you've put down beforehand. That's the only thing I can tell you, because if you lose the yellow, it's a pain in the butt to build yellow back up at the bottom. So go to half point, just throw a few taps. Boom. Let's see. Anyone got a price for Curse City yet? Lance, where'd you get that number? I'm curious. 180 sounds very reasonable. I'm down for it. Why did they stop the data cards for chosen axes? I don't know. I don't understand what they're doing with Underworld some days. And this is still, the paint on these guys is still drying, so we're just going to move straight into finishing off the brims here. Have you played Warhammer Blackstone Fortress? If so, thoughts, and would it be similar to Warhammer Quest? It is, so I have played it. I played 2 rounds of it. What I would say is they do feel different. I feel like for the 40K, because it's the 40K themed everything, I feel like they just started at a position of like, well, this has to be more complicated, even though it actually doesn't have to be more complicated. Because so when you get Silver Tower, you get and this is go for Curse City because we already saw the contents of the box from the little preview, but you get the rules book and what's called an adventure book. The adventure book literally is just when you walk into a room, it tells you what section of that book, that little booklet to read, and that's what kind of gives you your narrative prompt for that specific room or adventure. It's very cool. I like it. Well, the thing with Blackstone Fortress is I think they took a turn. They're like, okay, let's see how not for the purposes of making it harder for no reason, but they did decide to make it a bit more complex. And so they had like a different booklet for all the different like fighting stuff, and I don't know, it just wasn't my jam. It felt needlessly complicated. Like they wanted to add stuff just for the sake of having it not be like Silver Tower, which is that's not good design. You don't add rules because you don't want it to be something. You add rules because you want it to do something. So, I'm sorry, this is so annoying. That's my brush cleaner thing in there. Let's see. Wargamer Willie, if anyone's looking for Silver Tower, hit me up. Yep, Willie is the one who got me this one, and it's 125 Canadian, so it's like they use fun bucks over there. So go ahead, go nuts. Oh man. We got. And then for the fire, I'm just gonna throw when this contrast is drying, throw a quick wash of Cassandora yellow on there, and that'll kind of bleed them together just a smidge. It'll take down the red a little bit and bring up the yellow a bit. So I like Blackstone's Fortress. It just wasn't, honestly, I'm just not invested in the setting enough. That's what it comes down to. Okay, so are they dry enough that I can pick out some of the weapons and stuff? I'm trying to You all know me, I'm trying to be very efficient with my time. Actually, while I'm waiting, I'm going to grab the Wraith Bone. And I'm going to go back and pick out the little bits that I'm going to use contrast on later, just to kind of clean it up a bit. Like the horrors have some flames and stuff on them as well. It's so cheap, such a deal. Yeah, it's awesome. Let's see. Oh, I'm sorry, I'm kind of missed on your guys' talking Warhammer Quest. Okay. Not Warhammer Quest, Underworlds. There we go. It took me a second until I saw someone mention Thundrix Profiteers, and I was like, oh, I know this. I know that thing. It's a cool game. I should get back into it. I didn't stop because I didn't like it. It just got kind of put to the back burner by some other stuff, and typically, you know, when I have guests on to play, Vermintide is just the easiest game to have guests just pop on and play, you know? It's just the lobbies are super easy to navigate. It's easy to find each other. I'm just gonna grab his teeth here. Alright. Let's see. Funny thing, just tracked down a copy of Silver Tower, Shadows over Hammerhall. Yeah, there's actually a local store here that has Shadows over Hammerhall, and I'm kind of, you know, it's one of those things, like, I have such hopes for hanging out with people and playing games together, like on streams and stuff like that, that I basically am tempted to go all in and just buy them all. But it's like, you know what, let's just do this. Silver Tower has models that I've wanted, so we'll start here, and if it goes well and people are enjoying themselves, you know, obviously Curse City, I'm going to get that because, again, just more models that I want to own. But if those things go well, then we can then I might go hunt out some Blackstone Fortress and Shadows over Hammerhall. There we go. Give them teeth. Alright. And then we got blues here. Just bought it because of the stream. Oh, well, buddy. Glad to inspire you in a now, like, what, 7-year-old game or something like that? That's right, he doesn't have any flames. He doesn't have any flames, just these two. I'd say the blue contrast looks like Talisar blue. Doug, what is your Mount Rushmore of tabletop games? Can you explain to me what that phrase means in the context of which you are using it? Because I do not know. Also, I'm just going to throw this out there. I am not at this time. I'm trying to become more so, but I'm not like a authority in the industry. Top 5 games. Oh, okay. You mean like which ones do I praise, kind of a thing, kind of like how we praise Rent much more. Okay. Top 5 games. I mean, okay, hold on. Let me use my big brain power here. 1 second. I'm gonna say, this is in no order. I'm just picking out 5. Age of Sigmar, Warcry. I love Warcry. I really do adore it. Exploding Kittens. Ticket to Ride. And those are because they do what party games are intended to do. It's simple and it's fun. Like, quick to learn, and you can have conversations afterwards or during. I love that stuff. So what, that'd be 4. Number 5. Peekaboo. I don't know what the 5th one would be. Let's see. Or the worst game, Monopoly. Yes. When they announced the 40k Monopoly, I had a chortle. Or I was just like, yeah, nothing says grimdark like being a real estate mogul. Let's see. Old Man Yeti, how's Soulbound been going for me? It's been awesome. We finished our first big adventure, and so our party, actually, we're meeting tonight, and we're going to do a whole bunch of endeavors. And so for those of you who may not be familiar, endeavors are essentially when you go back to town in between missions, and you can, like, if you're a wizard, you can like take that time to study new spells or craft new weapons if you're a KO person, or that kind of stuff. I was kind of on the fence because Soulbound allows these really like clear set times of like, hey, if you want to try a different character, this will be a good off ramp, and this would be it for me. And so this week I was like, do I want to keep going my guy? He's an Excelsior War Priest. He's kind of the face of the group with charisma stuff, but there's not a ton of... I think my GM was actually in the chat here at some point and just said, it's just hit or miss sometimes with a character who's built around that. Either if the party just doesn't seek opportunities to use speech stuff, then it just doesn't get used. And so... yeah. So anyway, I was on the fence about starting a new one, but then I decided, no, I'm not going to do that. And the reason... So I started the Excelsior War Priest 1 without a Gryph-hound, which I do regret. If you're going to play the War Priest, get yourself a Gryph-hound, because he, by himself, or her, depending on your character, is bad at everything. They're bad at combat. They have very few ranged buffing abilities if you don't specifically go after those miracles. Like I said, a lot of my miracles are about character interaction, that kind of stuff. So all those things, he's got to be aware of. But, yeah, I don't know. So anyway, so I was like, okay, instead of starting over, I like my guy. I'm going to instead get him a Gryph-hound, and then with the experience we just gained from our last adventure, I'm going to basically buff up. I think the way that I'm going to go, and I'm just pulling an Ed Sheeran and thinking out loud here, I think what I'm going to do is get a Gryph-hound so he can do stuff in a fight, because you can basically send your companion beast out to fight for you. So I think that's rad. and then focus on learning prayers and miracles and that kind of stuff that buff other team members. So that way I can kind of play whatever is relevant at the time. I can either throw my doggo out front, or I can stay back and buff. Like if the enemy is going to kill my dog, I'm not going to just sacrifice him for no reason, but you know, if I can stay back and buff up some of the melee blenders we have in our group. We have a Daughters of Cain witch elf who is just straight murder. So yeah. Let's see. Imperial landlords by High Heller of Terra. Your right to property shall be forfeited back to the Emperor. Exactly. Question, okay, from Willie. I love books. Should I get the Soulbound book to add it to my collection? Probably won't play, but I love extra lore. Honestly, there's a lot of lore in there. It gives you like a little primer / dossier on each of the gods, religion and belief, how the different schools of magic are studied, what life is like on a day-to-day basis. I mean, I covered some of it, but like, to be honest, I always leave some details out of my videos because I do want you to go support the companies that make these games. Yeah. I mean, if that's what you're looking for, I think there's plenty of value in it. It doesn't offer anything new per se. I think, you know, I'm just going to grab just the very tips here with a dry brush and just blacken them down just a bit. Go. This horror's on fire. There we go. Run a party of war priests and call it the Amen. I love it. I really want one thing that I want to do when it drops. So they're coming out with a like Champions of Destruction book at some point this year, and I really want to do a team of nothing but like orcs, but like I'm gonna call them Squig Team 6 or goblins, I mean, yeah, but basically just having a party of greenskins that are just a motley collection of losers, and I think that would be pretty stinking fun. Okay, so we're ready to go with these. We're gonna take these broken wings. Okay, and we're gonna grab Kerber Crimson. I kick horse for Sigmar. I kick Loki. I love it. My girlfriend and I are making a pandemic game room, and she's excited to learn Warcry. Oh man, that's awesome. Trying to think of any tips. Not really. Just pick models you like and have some patience when it comes to the missions. I've tried a few missions out now from the most recent Tome of Champions. I will say those missions are way better than the ones that you draw randomly from the deck. And the reason is they go longer. Some of the ones from the deck is like, you know, after turn 3, and it's like, your guys aren't even on the friggin' board yet. What do you mean turn 3? We're not even... That's then. We're at now. And so that's the only recommendation I give people is, you know, if you're going to play straight from the deck, which I don't like bash it. It's fine. The missions there are still solid and cool. I would just say add a turn. That'll be my only real suggestion for you. You know, if it says 3 turns, give yourself 4. Otherwise, it just kind of feels like, but I didn't get to play with all my toys, you know? Which, again, we're miniature wargamers. That's what we're here for. Let's be honest. The Exmorkables. Yeah. I like it. So yes, that's my ultimate goal for running a Soulbound campaign. I don't really know why, and I don't want it to be like a long, forever drawn out thing, but maybe a session or two or something like that would be super fun, just to have a little bit of humor, generate some fun moments. The DM can go crazy and like have just as much wacky, unexpected stuff has happened as you would expect from the orcs. Put them in weird positions where, like, normal heroes wouldn't be. Falling through roofs, being super dumpy, just crashing into everything. That's how I imagine. When I think Squig Team 6, that's exactly how it is. This is like Gorka Morka's like, get in there, get this, get out. Pretty simple. And then they're like, haha, you say simple. Watch me mess this up spectacularly. I'm teaching her to paint. We're going to pick a warband to start. I'm doing the Unmade. So stoked. Oh, the Unmade are so cool. I actually, just before this came in the mail, I was working on my Unmade, and I just love the models so much. So much. My go-to is the Corvus Cabal. They're not like the best, but they're cool. They look great. They have Bird Person, as I call him from Rick and Morty. The guy with the big fake bird wings, just like... Actually, speaking of that, one of my favorite moments from Nova was when my buddy Ben was very inebriated and stood up on a table and started going, like, flapping his wings and just screaming at the top of his lungs as we're all trying to play Warcry, and it was amazing. I'm painting the Silver Tower models as well. Need to have everything done before Cursed City. You and me both, friend. What do I want to grab? I want to grab Druki. Doug officially painting these villains first so they die quick. Yep. Would the new painted models die first trope still work in an RPG? Well, I know that if I had decided to make a new character instead of stick with my hero that I've been using in Soulbound, that absolutely would have happened. I would have been like, hey guys, I can fight now! And then the game enemies would have been like, you dumb bastard. You know what I mean? Just like, just punk me as fast as possible. Like that kid from Mallrats. I don't know if anybody just caught that reference I just made when the guy is harassing small children, but... But yeah. It's also an interesting thing because, so in Soulbound specifically, any type of priest character is like really spec'd into soul as like a characteristic. Because they have body, mind, and soul are sort of your three main branches, and then everything's derived, from them when it comes to taking tests and that kind of stuff. And there's obviously skills that augment those things. But soul is interesting because there's not a ton of tests that you make that rely on it. So it's a very interesting thing to have your hero dude like spec'd into. Do you have any Age of Sigmar solo recommendations other than Silver Tower for when you have no one to play with? Well, yes, actually I do. So on my site, and then also in the Tome of Champions, there is a one-player mode for Warcry, and of course most Age of Sigmar models work for Warcry. I'm sure you have some in your army unless you play Maw Tribes, I think, is the only one that I can't think of a single dude. But yeah, so there's solo mode for that. Games Workshop came out with a solo mode battle report, or not battle report, but like rules sometime where you're like fighting a Troggoth, and I think Ash on Guerrilla Miniature Games did that as well. He basically did a video version of it and put it up there. So if you want to see how that plays, you're more than welcome to go check that out. Morty and Doug, I love the Warcry game mechanics. Do you think they can be scaled up to real tabletop game size? Should GW try? Can they be scaled up? Yes. It's a game called Star Wars Legion. Where basically, how Star Wars Legion works is you pick a unit. So let's say you're doing Corvus Cabal. Corvus Cabal is 9 dudes. All that matters for coherency is that everyone is in so many inches of the leader of that unit. So, unit champion, hero, whatever. You move him, and then basically you just pick everybody and pile around him. And that's how units move. And you get 2 actions, just like you do in Warcry. There are free actions and that kind of stuff. That is, to me, what a skirmish game expanded into a war game looks like. So, yes. Is it possible? Absolutely. Someone's already done it. Is GW going to do it? I don't think so. I'm not holding my breath. Do you think they could be an adventure type Silver Tower, but the Warcry Catacomb system? I don't know if I understand what you mean. Can you go ahead and re-ask that, Rodrigo? Doing my K-Knight Assassins tonight. I hate them, but my partner needs an option other than Night Haunt. That's funny. Why do you hate them? I'm just curious, and there's no wrong answer. And so I'm just adding a little bit of lighter tint to this black here. Okay. And one more pass, just a little place I missed. Like putting them together was no, okay, still waiting on Rodrigo's clarification. I don't quite understand this question, but right on. Okay, cool. Got some first colors on him. Our brims are essentially done. What really gets you motivated to paint? Ooh. Well, there's a few things. For me, personally, playing games does help. If I am in a painting rut, it does help to take the models that I've already painted out and just throw some dice around with them to remind myself why I enjoy them. I know that this is a difficult season for that. But that's definitely one for me. Another one is, what else could I say? I don't know. I kind of just like seeing a project done, if I'm honest with you. Like, I just really like seeing it. Honestly, I also find that I use painting as a means of de-stressing and stuff like that. So you don't know it, but you're all, personally invited to my therapy sessions when I do these things. Pretty much. That's how I treat them anyway. Some people, painting relaxes them, some it doesn't. It's more of a to taste thing than it is anything else. What else? Yeah, I don't know. I just really like seeing completed models, and honestly, one thing that does help if you are struggling to paint is painting along with somebody. Whether you're chatting on Zoom or something like this, having like just talking, the act of talking while you're painting makes it go so much faster. Like yesterday, I had no idea I spent 2.5 hours on stream. So now I'm just throwing some color on these feathers on this guy. And we'll clean them up here at the end, but that's good for right now. Let's see. Like a party of heroes instead of a war band in the catacombs, and like a campaign against the Gaunt Summoner. Yeah, I mean, I don't know how you do it, but sure, work on the rule set for it. I am not a game designer by any stretch. Let me just throw that out there. Let's see. Random fact, Donald Duck and other Disney characters had stat lines in Advanced Dungeons and Dragons. You know what, dude? That is a fun fact. I'm not mocking you. That is a fun ass fact. I like it. What was Mickey good at? I'm just trying to think of like what extremely narrow skill sets all of those characters have, or were they like, you know, special cartoon versions, like where, you know, Goofy's like armed like a knight even though he's scared of everything, kind of a deal. Or it's like it's kind of like a more comical type thing. Is that what it was? Let's see. It's like a long car ride. Much better when you have someone with you. Absolutely. Absolutely. Unless you don't like them, in which case it becomes a waking nightmare. Mickey probably had wealth and intimidation. What's your superpower? Being rich. I mean, well, it works for Batman. It'll work for him. Okay, just throwing some Hex Wraith Flame in for the Warp Flame here. Planning to do a Soulbound adventure set in Curse City down the road. There you go. That sounds rad. I'm excited to get my hands on that booklet in there so I can start learning more about the city before it went to hell. And so what I'm going to do now, because that wash is still drying, I'm going to start going through and picking out all the jewels and gems that these guys have. And we'll get those kind of base coated. Been hurting to get someone to do Silver Tower with me. My son is only 6 months old, so he's more interested in eating the models. Oh, that's funny. That's a cute age, though. Until they get older and they eat you out of house and home, and then you're like, please just eat the model. Please, don't make me go back to the store. Okay. What are your hopes? Okay, hold on. Time to go to sleep. See you later, Nigel. What are your hopes for Cursed City mechanics? What do you hope they take from Blackstone Fortress? Sorry, wasn't ready for the acronym. And other Warhammer Quest games. Well, I only know Blackstone Fortress and Silver Tower right now. I haven't even really I've glanced at the rule sheet for Shadows over Hammerhall, but I don't know. I can't say that I know the rules. As far as what mechanics I'd want, well, we've already seen the contents in terms of they showed us the book, so I can tell you that it is going to be more like Silver Tower than it is Blackstone Fortress because of the nature of the adventure book in there, which is a great thing. I love it. Beyond that, what would I want? I don't know. I want there to be more... Well, it's tough because it's tough to list the things that I want knowing what we already have in there. And the reason I say that is because like one of the things that I would definitely want was like, you know, more diverse dice rolls. So then you can have different odds. Like, well, okay, well, we know based on the contents of the box that they're not just using D6s, they're using a whole bunch of other die too. Which is great. But it's one that's already known. So what do I hope? I hope they have some interesting stuff where... Okay, I got one. I hope there's stuff where you can like explore rooms, or you know, whatever they're calling their tiles or whatever, where it's just like, it gives you a reason to kind of interact a little bit more with the environment. Like Silver Tower does technically have ways where you can, you know, try to find treasures and stuff, but they're not quite the same thing as like, I don't know. I guess what I really want is narrative prompts for the game to be like, you see a small fireplace and the, you know, players can interact with it in some way, and then if they choose to not ignore it, they can get some kind of boon or treasure from it. I think that sounds really cool. Oh, I missed a part of this blade. How far are you with your Slaves to Darkness army? Or has it been sold already? No, it hasn't been sold. I actually just played a game with it yesterday. God, was that yesterday? No, it was Sunday. No, I still got them. I actually, I'm picking up some Tzaangor models because I want to add them to it. The Carrick Acolytes I painted in yesterday's stream are a dead ringer for that army, so they can match. I picked up the Tzaangor Battle Tome and everything, so I can start doing that. Basically, I just want to have all the options available to me. I will say, you know, I mean, for as much as I do army hop, I just like chaos armies, if I'm totally honest with you. Much more so than order or destruction, and so that does steer a lot of my choices. I think, and that's why I didn't feel. I'll be honest with you. I feel dumb when I pick up. Well, I feel self-conscious, not dumb, but self-conscious when I pick up a faction that I've already sold, because inevitably I get the flood of comments on videos that it's like, oh, you should have just never gotten rid of it. This is why you don't sell things, all that kind of stuff. But the truth is, I have different visions for each of my projects. You know, I've painted the same army twice. I've never painted the same scheme twice. You know, with you know, with the exception of like pink horrors, I painted pink, and blue horrors, I painted blue, right? You know, I feel like that's just kind of an established part of their jam, even though you can paint them however you want. I like it. But yeah, so just like doing the different painting projects and that kind of stuff. As far as the Slaves to Darkness stuff, I've been holding on to it because I'm like, well, here's the deal. I don't want to paint another army right now. I just don't. I have a painting project I want to do, which is the Skaven that I got. I don't know if you saw that video, but basically I want to recreate a classic Warhammer army battle report army from like a really old White Dwarf. And so there's an old Phil Kelly Skaven army that I'm going to be doing, but that is strictly a painting project. That's not it's not intended to be anything else. But yeah. So I'm content with my Slaves to Darkness, especially because there's not really a big AOS scene here locally. And I met 4 guys this last weekend, and I was very encouraged because they were all kind of getting into the game. They were all playing like 1,000-point lists. And that was really refreshing, quite frankly. Like to show up at a game store, hang out for 2 hours, have a game, and like, you know, plenty of time for a cool conversation to hang out with folks. That felt real nice, you know, but because, you know, they're all newer and that kind of stuff, I don't feel the need to like, I refuse to get into the arms race of, you know, trying to immediately get them all to go to a 2K list. So it's like, you know, I can take my time. I'm in no rush. It's your hobby, my dude. You do. Yeah. No, honestly, the biggest supporter of that sentiment for me, and why he's my personal hero, is actually Jack from Your Rolling Ones. He has always been the kind of guy, you know, obviously we joke about him being the first one to buy my crackhead cheap price armies. But the truth is, you know, he has been nothing but supportive with just like, don't feel dumb. You want to paint this? Paint this, you know. Do whatever the hell you want. And so because, you know, it's one of those things. You know, I'm sure we're all adults. We all understand. We all have those like do as I say, not as I do kind of moments. Where one of those is like me telling people, do whatever you want. It's your hobby. But the truth is, I also feel self-conscious because when I hop online and I get blasted with nothing but, you know, I'm not going to say disparaging comments. It's not really true. People are trying to have a good laugh, you know, and I do appreciate the humor. It's more just, there seems to be this sentiment online that like I can't enjoy something while I'm working on it because I know I'm going to get rid of it later. And so it's just like, that's not true. I can enjoy this no matter what. If I sell it tomorrow, I can still enjoy it today, kind of a thing. Doug, you ever played Soulbound with miniatures? No, but I do want to. Honestly, I think that's the way that I would prefer to play. Not so much because it's just all about models, but because visually it helps me understand what's going on. My current Soulbound group, we do use, what's it called? Roll20, and my GM has made some wonderful maps, and so that helps a lot, but the visual stuff really, really, really helps. Do the people recognize you from your channel? One does. The rest do not. And he is not a super nice guy. Not a fanboy. Like he, you know, this is, I don't know how to say this without sounding like a total tool. So sometimes I walk into a game store and people will like just kind of like hover around me, because they know who I am, and they'll be like, oh yeah, do you know this guy? That's Doug, you know, and kind of make a big deal about knowing who I am, and it's just like, no, I'm allowed to fade into obscurity. I'm okay with that. I don't walk into a room and everybody has to know who I am. Like, why are you making this weird? Don't be weird about it. Doesn't help the imposter syndrome. stuff is, I guess, what I'm trying to say. Okay, we're just picking out the gold crest on this dude's helm. I guess the gold kind of everywhere. I'm guessing you sold off the ogres? Oh yeah, they were not long for this realm. No, honestly, with the ogres, I started to paint them, and then I couldn't get them to look the way that I wanted. And it was a real bummer. And so, you know, it's one of those things that's like, well, I'm not super attached to the project. Lord knows I'm not playing any games lately, so I cleared them out. Let's see. Doug, if I ever said something mean. No. I promise. I never, no one on the channel has ever made me feel dumb. I promise. It's a total insecurity thing, you know, and that's the thing where it's like, I've gotten into a better rhythm of just like stopping when I have those feelings of just being so, I don't know, it's kind of wrapped up in my own garbage where it's just like, you know, I know they didn't mean that. Like, I understand it is a joke, and I do not want you to stop. Go ahead. I love that it's my jam. I love that I can say, like, y'all know me, I don't hold on to stuff for very long, and people totally get it. Because it's part of my thing, you know? It has upsides of giving me a chance to get exposed to everything in terms of, like, you know, keeping up to date with, quite frankly, Games Workshop model design. To be honest with you, some models just go together easier than others. Like my extremely short foray into Lumineth Realm Lords. We were talking about it in yesterday's stream. You know, somebody was like, "Oh, I'm scared to build Eltharion." I'm like, "Well, he's actually the easiest model to build in that whole freaking set." So don't be worried about that, you know. But I wouldn't have the information to say that with confidence. Otherwise, if I hadn't tried it. Okay. Let's see. I see model costs as me paying. Oh wait, hold on a second. I'm just catching up here. Doug, there's a soul here that literally just hangs out and talks and paints. I've never seen them play before. Just paint minis and sell off units. Hobby for the fun. Yeah, absolutely. James, I haven't watched your channel enough to know, but do you have kids? I have one coming soon. I was wondering how it will affect my time to paint. I do not have kids. Sorry. I don't have a lot of wisdom to offer that, you know, besides like don't let them eat the paints. That's about it. Vaccinate them. That's kind of where my my information caps out. Okay. A little bit more. Nice thing is when you thin out the Retributor armor, just a tinge, really got to go back with a second coat because it takes to a paint thinner like crazy. Whereas I feel like some paints you have to add quite a bit of thinner to like really like flush them out. This is one that even just the smallest drop of like medium just turns it into like liquid butter. Doug, I comment on your videos and feel generally bad for missing your live streams because I don't like you. Exactly. You and me both. I'm just kidding. Okay, we've got... What else do we have now? Need to do some silver. I've got a kid. Severely ruins your painting time. But are they kind of cute? You know, I feel like that's the thing. You know, the redeeming factor is like, are they kind of cute, and are they going to be a gamer someday? I see model cost as me paying to paint things I want to paint, like a movie ticket. Paying for the quality time makes it easier to resell at a lower price and not feel like you lost value. Exactly. That's exactly how I view it too. No, I think you nailed it. Where it's just, you know, and I actually had a script for a video, but I couldn't figure out where I wanted to end it, and so I never actually recorded it. But essentially, the crux of the video was just, you know, you hold up a new box of models and you say, what are you buying with this? If you're buying a game piece, you need to buy it with the understanding that its value will change. Like the second you open the plastic, it's worth less than when you bought it. If you're buying it as a collector's item, you know, you just personally want to have it in your collection, no one else can change the value. If you like it and it makes you happy, it has value in that way. The problem becomes when people try to, like, in my opinion, treat a model like it's an investment, like a forever purchase, and they're just not. You know what I mean? Like, I am bummed that Tomb Kings and Bretonnia went away. At the same time, every model you own at some point will probably not be supported because Games Workshop needs to make new stuff to sell stuff. So, I mean, I don't know. I just when the absolute, you know, rage happens, I'm just like, but, you know, I understand being mad the first time it happens, but then after that, it's like, you got to stop when you're at the store before you buy another model and just think, what am I actually buying? Because if you're buying an experience, like we just talked about in the chat, you know, the experience of hanging out and painting this model and having a great time doing it, then you have sufficiently gotten your money's worth, no matter, you know, Games Workshop can't take that away from you. If you are looking for nothing but a game piece, there's better hobbies. I'm sorry, there just are. There's better games, there's better hobbies. Games that focus much more on balance, you know, and I love to promote those games too. But yeah, I just don't see, I don't know. Like I said, it's all about what you want. What you want out of your game. But Doug, I don't want rational thoughts. I just want to be angry at GW. Exactly. Exactly. Screw this reasonable discourse. But, you know, I mean, but honestly, yeah, I don't know. And I guess I don't know how else to word that. And that's why I never made the video. I was just like, how do you self-educate? Like, I don't know how to teach people how to be introspective and ask what they want out of every purchase they make, you know? But that's essentially what I'm asking folks to do. or hold it up and be like, what's, there's no expiration date on these models. They're not organic. They have no shelf life technically, in terms of like how food does. So the question is like, when you buy it, how long do you expect to, you can have it for forever, but how long do you expect to get the same use out of it? If it's strictly a game piece, I don't know, a couple years? But if it's like, if I were to go out and spend right now a whole bunch of money on, skeletons and zombies and that kind of stuff, I think everyone can agree, hey Doug, you should probably be, it's probably reasonable that you're going to be disappointed here in a little bit when new zombies and new skeletons come out, but we don't think the same thing when it comes to models that don't already have re-releases on the horizon. But it is the same thing. At some point they're going to redo it, or just discontinue it. They're like, oh, the money's not in new skeletons or zombies, screw it. So I don't know, it's just more thinking critically rather than like, oh, I gotta have this, which unfortunately I will say I do believe is Games Workshop's business model is just, the business model is FOMO, right? Fear of missing out. Trying to get people just to buy stuff just to buy it. Which, it is what it is. Certainly effective, Lord knows. But we as consumers, we can take a beat and be like, what do I want out of this? What am I buying? Has anyone played the Skyrim tabletop game? I have not, but I look at it every week because my local store has like a used game section and somebody threw it there, like a consignment type thing. And I see it. I see that and I see the Fallout game every week and I'm like, I love Fallout. I've actually been replaying 4 and just reopened my 76 last night for the first time in a couple weeks, not months. Yeah, love that universe. Kind of feel the same with Skyrim, although I don't really understand like what direction the miniatures game would go. I guess when it comes down to it, we were just talking about like reasonable expectations when you buy something. And I guess when I look at that, I'm like, I don't play enough, I don't have a friend that we just play random games together or anything like that. So it's like, am I ever actually going to play this? Nope. Okay, I'm probably not going to buy it. But yeah. I know if you're interested in seeing how it plays before you buy it, though, I believe Ash on Guerrilla Miniature Games has played a few, or at least like the narrative campaign thing that comes, or not campaign, but like the opening story tutorial games that come in all of those things. So I would check that out for sure. I should do something with him. I feel like I send so many people his way, and like, not in like a he owes me way, but like I just really like what he does. He's a cool guy. Okay, so I think we're good on the silver. Doug, I've played a lot of Fallout board game. My soon-to-be brother-in-law wanted to get it and play a lot of it. It's very bad, like so tedious. The video game does a lot of the management. I see. Okay. Like you better keep track of bullets, water, everything you need to track deteriorating conditions, etc. Oh no. Oh, I can see that. Like they're trying to create what is essentially both a skirmish game and a survival sim, which is just like, there's a million survival sims online. I'm not here for that. Just throwing some skeleton horde on the teeth while everything else is drying. That's nuts, though. I like it. I mean, it sounds like a super in-depth campaign type thing. But you know, it's kind of like one of, if you ever seen, like when people play like super hardcore war games, like, and I mean like capital W, capital G war games, where it's just like a collection of weird squares and pips, and the guy's like, "Yeah, this is my battle tank." You know what I mean? Like, I don't know what you're talking, if I make any sense, but like those hardcore ones where there's no miniatures, you're just like trying to be the better general, and they're like simulations on war. I feel like at a certain point, games just kind of turn into that, and I'm just like, I'm not here for that. If you like to do that, you will wholeheartedly love it. I don't, honestly. My big deal when it comes to miniature games, what makes a good miniature game, is the concept of what is the least amount of work to get the most memorable moments. That is exactly how I worded it. It's why I think Warcry is, it's why it's on my, as we said earlier, Mount Rushmore of games. Least amount of work to get the most amount of fun. Absolutely. Where it's simple, single dice roll tells you how many wounds you got, what your defense is, that kind of stuff. You have abilities. It is incredibly easy to learn. Hard to get good at because, you know, list building, and then when you introduce campaigns and that kind of stuff, it can be a real riot. I don't know. I love that stuff. So now I'm just picking out some of the higher reaches of these pink horrors. I was actually considering doing a whole bunch of like color shift paints on these guys. Or I guess not color shift or whatever. What was that? What company was that? Was that Vallejo who freaked out when What's Your Bucket did? Said it was color shift and it wasn't. Because color shift is copyrighted or something. Oh man. Let's see. And then pull a hard U-turn. Oh man, I wish contrast existed when I painted my blue horrors. Yeah, I mean, I could have done that. I'll be honest, I probably should have if I wanted to really save time, but I didn't mind it. They go together pretty quick. The brim horrors actually, like, you know, painting fire effects and that kind of stuff, I had more trouble with that before contrast than anything else. Okay. I'm just picking out some of the odds and ends. I think I missed part of his tail. We'll get that with some pink. And I'm just literally just like when I see a raised area, just pretty much just poking it with the brush at this point. It's hardly even painting when I do these kinds of highlights because I don't want to lose any of the contrast. And I already started with pink horror as a base, so I really feel like the color is already kind of where I want it. But we're just picking up some higher parts. And what else? Okay, so at some point here on the stream, I want to ask, so I have to choose what my Soulbound character is doing tonight. I know one endeavor is I have to get a doggo, a griff hound. But beyond that, I'm trying to decide where I want my character to go, like plot-wise. I don't know. His name is Vicar Urian. He is a Excelsior War Priest. And all around, I'm going to say, decent bloke. Kind of a tool. He is rather, comes with a bonus swagger. Hey, Prophet. Hey, Hugh. How did you paint the blue horrors? I actually painted him just like I would paint any Thousand Suns character from 40k. So you have Thousand Suns blue as a base paint, and then is it Armin blue as a highlight, which we'll get to here in a second. But yeah, that right there, it's just Thousand Suns blue with a thin down wash of Kerberg Crimson. Not Kerberg, Druchii Violet, the purple. And that just picks up enough of the color to kind of add some recesses. It doesn't change it from blue at all. It's just a little bit in there. Picking out these little spines on his back. Yeah, it's all coming together pretty well. Oh, I think I'll be able to finish all of these guys by the time I'm done today, if I'm honest. Just with how easy going I'm going with the paint scheme here. You know, the demon stuff, I did demons the last time I did Tzeentch, and I realized that it's like, I just don't think I'm somebody who appreciates demon armies. You know, where it's like primarily demons. Like, I like to have some mortal element to it, like, because I can understand their desires a little bit more. You know, I think that's a little bit easier for kind of getting my head into the game. Turbo Dork, that's what it was. Just saying, quite a few single heroes for Stormcast Eternals come with a Grifthound. Absolutely. Let's see. I'm starting KO, and painting the boats is pretty intimidating. Tim, here's what you do, buddy. Here's how you beat that intimidation. You look at the box. You scream a profanity as loud as you humanly can. I'm just kidding. Skip that part. But essentially what I like to do is just pick, like in your brain, divide the ship up into sections and just tackle one section at a time. Start from whatever is the furthest inward and work your way outward. So for example, if you're doing an ironclad, personally, I would start with the deck of the ship because that's going to be the biggest pain in the butt to get your brush in. And so if you start there where it's hard to reach, then you don't have to worry so much when you're painting like the outside hull of the ship. You know, because if you started with the hull and then tried to go into that hard to reach place, you might get some paint on the outside, kind of a thing. But just in your brain, break it up into a few different places, you know, sections and that kind of stuff, and then just pick whatever is hardest to reach first and work your way outward. Always my suggestion. And so you're not going to get it all done in a day because those ships are huge, but you know, it helps you to break down big tasks into smaller things. Hopefully that helps you. Let's see. On Demon, same with Army Comp. That's why I love Corn. Success or failing, I can bring demons on. And yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. Let's see. T. No, might. Hey, Doug, pre-COVID, did you ever attend any major cons? I did. I went to actually my first convention and only one because everything shut down before my next one. I went to Nova over on the East Coast, and I had the best freaking time. I really did. everyone was so nice and inviting, and the staff was just awesome. I loved the fact that it's a charity organization, if you don't know. Yeah, Nova is, correct me if I'm wrong, because this could just be marketing stuff that's not accurate. I believe it's the only major convention that is like has a charity organization like kind of behind it. Like I said, it could be totally wrong. That's not a factual statement. That's what I was told, and I'm open to being corrected. But you know, I'm sure there are charity stuff at other things, but the whole organization as a whole, it just felt so cool to be a part of that. And I got to meet, you know, I got to meet my Warhammer heroes, the ones that I love. Bill from Rolling Bad Podcast. Who else did I meet? Chuck from Strength Hammer over on Instagram. Vince Ventrella, who is taller than you might think. I don't know why, for some reason. Maybe because he's always sitting down, and maybe the angle of his camera. He just seemed like a shorter guy. He's not. So I gotta start watching what I say when I call out other content creators, because some of these guys are tall AF. I'm used to when I go to my local store and I'm like just generally the biggest guy there, both in terms of height and size. But yeah, I mean, I'll be honest with you, I had a lot of social anxiety leading up to that. Like, I was actually very worried. Because it's just, yeah, I don't know. There was just a lot going on. But I was very, my paintbrush just fell again. Very worried about meeting people, and I guess for me, my biggest fear was like, I just never wanted anyone to leave after meeting me and feel like, man, I thought that guy was cool. He's actually a douchebag. You know what I mean? Like that kind of stuff where it's like, I'm trying. So yeah. Yo, he's tall. You and Jack are gargan height. Yeah, we are pretty, we're beautiful. We do well. I'm happily married. Jack crushes the dating scene. But yes, we do well. Sweet. All right, there's a pink card. Now we'll get the skin on the blues. See you later, Hugh. Nova was awesome. Really cool to meet you. Yeah. Now, I don't actually know your online avatar, Bear Wizard. Where did I meet you? So I don't. There's been a few people that were like, it's me. And you're like, hey. Because you know me, but I don't know you. So just, I'm curious, when did I meet you? R4, so happy to see more quest content. Who are the mighty heroes adventuring in the Silver Tower going to be? Well, I'm going to paint up all the ones that came in the actual core set. And we'll kind of just go from there, to be honest with you. As far as like who's playing them, they're going to be a rotating cast. Whenever I have a guest, they'll get to pick whatever character they want. At Nova at the doubles event, I had the Oh, yes! Yes. I remember the All-Trog army, and I was like, hell yeah. Another thing that I didn't know what to expect at events was like not knowing, you know, honestly, how competitive it was going to be. You know, because some people in other games that I've played, like I did play before, War Machine Hordes and that kind of stuff, and you know, when you go to an event for some of those things, there is no easy mode. There's no, I'm not gonna say no, there's very few people who are there simply because they love painting and hobby, right? There, you go there, you better wear a cup because you're about to get nut stoned. Whereas when I went to the AOS event, you know, people like Bear Wizard, you know, seeing all these incredible armies that have immaculate, what's it called when you do like a diorama? I can't think of the word. You know what I mean? But basically, when you do those cool little diorama stands for your army, that kind of stuff, oh man, it blew my mind. So yeah, I was incredibly nervous, and then when I got there, I was like, oh yes, I am among my people. Does anyone know if the Silver Tower cards will cross over to the Cursed City? I can probably tell you with some vague certainty, no. As is, because if you actually go to the reveal page and you see, they have like a, what's in the box kind of thing where it lists off everything that's in there. If you look at the bottom, it actually shows you the hero card from the lady, I call her American Joan of Arc. She has like a big eagle, on her shoulder, looking all baller. You can see like a faint image of her card, and because Silver Tower uses just D6s, but Cursed City looks like it's going to have D8s and maybe D10s in there and that kind of stuff. My assumption is that, you'll roll different dice depending on your stat, whereas Silver Tower doesn't have that. Now, that being said, the abilities that you can read on there are all written the same way. So, backwards compatibility should be as simple as trying to understand which dice kind of loosely corresponds to what kind of stat, and then just marking that on your hero card from Silver Tower. So, as is, I would probably say no, but I can already see that it would not be terribly difficult to make it such, at least on some level. And I wouldn't be surprised if there was like, a PDF or a chart or something like that that kind of gave you a nudge of like how to translate them. That would be my thought. That event room had like 60 keepers of secrets in it. It did. Oh, nary a secret was kept. Here's the real secret. Buy Slaanesh models, is what GW says. Let's see. There will be more creative people that could port them over. Yeah, and honestly, it's one of those things that you can look at it and be like, okay, it doesn't work straight out of the box, but all the mechanical parts are there to make it a very easy crossover. So if Games Workshop doesn't release one soon enough, I'll go ahead and I'll try to make my own conversion for you. Because again, it's right there. You just got to figure out which dice correspond to which dice they use in Cursed City correspond to like generally what stat does that represent in Silver Tower. Easy peasy. That lady from Cursed City is straight up Brienne of Tarth. Never got into Game of Thrones. Watched the first season to give it a fair shot, and I was like, well, they killed Sean Bean. I'm out. My interest has just sunk. And if I spoiled that for you, let me give you another spoiler. Everybody hated the ending. Didn't watch it myself. I'm just saying. So, if you're going to jump into it and you're all mad about me talking Sean Bean, just understand what you're getting yourself into. Can we all just agree that guy deserves better? Sean Bean's like the best. Killing Sean Bean is tight. Okay. That's it for the blue skins. There was some really awesome homebrew stuff people made for Blackstone. I'm sure we'll see some cool fan-made stuff. Oh, yeah. I listened to several 40K podcasts just because I like the hosts and the dialogue and that kind of stuff. And many, many, many folks who are not Age of Sigmar players are very interested in Cursed City. So, I expect there will be quite a bit of content Killing Sean Bean is a tie in a modern cinematic tradition. Apparently. Curse City will come with Tomb King relics. I'm assuming Tomb King relics is a very clever way to call neckbeards who are back to play Warhammer Quest after 20 years. Heyo! Self 5! Booyah! Let's see. There's some really awesome... Okay, homebrew stuff. Yep, pretty sure Sean Bean writes into every contract he has to die at some point. Yeah, he's like, I don't do sequels. You need to kill me. That would be amazing if an actor did that. If you can't tell the story in one movie, what are we here for? It's like, Sean Bean, that's just not fair or reasonable. Sean Bean needs no reason. I will say, one of my favorite things, and I got here because of Sean Bean, like, mentally. From one of my favorite movies, Guilty Pleasure, is The Interview. It is one of the dumbest movies ever made. James Franco says to his buddy, he's like, oh, you're like my friend, my Samwise to my Frodo. And then later in the movie, when his friend pushes back on a decision he makes, he's like, you're not Samwise, you're Boromir. And his buddy's like, I don't know what the F that's supposed to mean. Like, what a Boromir thing to say. And I don't know why that specific argument has always been like one of my favorite things. Jess and I, my wife, constantly say that to each other. You're a Boromir. What a Boromir thing to say. Sean Bean's GoldenEye role is still alive, even though after the satellite fell on him. He had a rough day. But he's still kicking. Let's see. Do you notice a difference in expensive brushes? I'll buy a lot of cheaper brushes. They only seem to hold out for a few models. And it makes me concerned about investing in expensive ones. Well, I'm not going to lie to you. You are talking to the wrong person. The reason I say that is because I do the exact same thing you do. Mine tend to last a little bit longer than just a few models. But, you know, I subscribe to the Bob Ross view on painting. If you don't know, he says you can paint with almost anything. All you have to do is practice. So even if your brush does have an awkward, weird hook at the end because you left it in your bottle of water, just get used to painting with that weird hook end thing and you'll be fine. It's fine. You get used to it. But that doesn't fly so much with, you know, quote unquote real painters. Let's see. Yeah, I murder brushes. Exactly. I remember as a kid when I would play an orcs these days, in a school play. Still waiting for the call to play an orc. Oh, that's awesome. Okay, what is next for you? Let's see. I'm gonna work in some more shadows. I feel like he's a little bright. He needs more depth to him. Well, I am gonna put a few washes here at the end because I do want them to be like that hyper contrasty, super dark. You know, I've been talking about my John Blanche scheme, even though I'm not doing any conversions. So I'll tell you what, let's grab some yellow. Hot vinegar works for brushes. Then you can paint scraper to peel off the paint bristles. Oh, cool. But yeah, so I am not what you would call a fancy brush aficionado. However, if you would like a legitimate answer to your question, I highly recommend Vince Ventrola's channel. I think he does have videos about painting tips and stuff like that. Answering questions just like that of like, you know, new brushes and new painters being unsure about them. He's really great at content focused at new painters and hobbyists. Use vinegar from the coffee machine when you're cleaning it. Should do that. We were just given a coffee machine recently, so I haven't needed to clean it out per se, but that's a good idea. Just throw the eyes in there. Let's see. Where are we at? So I'm just going to take some inventory of where we are at currently with these guys. The Stormcast is going to require a bit of line highlighting. That's going to take a bit of time. But we can at least block out the red portions here. I like to use contrast just to block out color so I can kind of get a sense of what I have left, kind of a thing. Kind of helps. Because then you can just go back through and be like, oh, okay, yeah, it's got to do some highlights here, highlights there, that kind of stuff. And he's going to be rocking a white cape. Okay. All right. He is coming along. Doug, have you seen the Contrast Eternals method for Anvils of the Heldenhammer by Mango Miniatures? No, I have not. That sounds cool. Do I play much Call of Duty Warzone or Skyrim? I could probably lose myself to Skyrim all over again. Right now I've been playing a whole heckin' ton of Fallout 4 and 76. I mean, I love that style of game. I've clocked a lot of hours into Skyrim. Whereas with the Fallout series, I'm always finding new things that I haven't done quite yet. But I will say, one of my favorite things to do when I'm writing notes for videos, I think the channel's called like Evanescence or something like that. Basically, this content creator goes into Skyrim and is playing the soundtrack, the very relaxing, calming soundtrack in the background, but she sets the character to like look at cool scenes and then records that, and then they're like 10-hour videos. So they're incredibly relaxing. There's just some cool ambient sound, and you can look at the screen to see what's going on, but it's never anything like super interesting. It'll just be like a town or like a camp or something like that. Maybe there's a dragon flying around in the background. Maybe not. Love that stuff. I used to put it on the second I got to work because it is like an 8-hour, like I said, playlist, and so it would essentially be my clock for when I could leave. Let's see. Highly suggest a fully melee build in Fallout. It's so much fun. In Fallout, which Fallout? Because I play 4 and 76. I haven't done a melee build in either, to be perfectly honest with you. I don't know why. For some reason, which is with all the cool guns in that universe, I've never I guess the only weapon that makes me want to do a melee build is the Power Fist, I'll be honest. Any time there's a Power Fist in any kind of like sci-fi or whatever like that, that's what I want to play. And I don't know why. There's always, I just don't have a particular reason. Just always thought that was just the coolest idea, is just augmenting your body to like punch through bricks and stuff. When I had my orcs for 40k, yeah, I went all power claws because that was... Every unit hero had a power claw because it's like, who doesn't just want to have, you know, a can opener in a unit? Okay. Figured you as a Skyrim guy. Yeah. I'll check those vids. What class and species do I play? I have several characters. For me, number one is generally I like to be the Bretonnians, where they're kind of a middle ground between just a normal dude and a mage type thing. You know, I got some cool little bonuses for both, but not really firmly in either camp. Typically, that's what I'll do, and I've been doing that since Elder Scrolls Morrowind, which is also, if you haven't played that one, it is a journey back in time. Highly recommend mods, but I love me some Morrowind. Still, in my opinion, one of the best role-playing games ever made. Mainly because of how fantastic it is. Like, I mean, when I mean that, of like, so Oblivion is a very classic kind of fantasy thing in terms of like, you know, architecture and art and that kind of stuff. Obviously, they kind of went with a Viking look for Skyrim, but Morrowind is everything is just 100%. The structures, they're like built into giant mushrooms, and I don't know. It's just absolutely stunning. Skyrim was my first platinum trophy on the PlayStation. Nice! Sorry guys, this is the Warhammer stream. No, you're good, you're good. We're just chatting and chilling. If anyone is so offended that I'm talking about another intellectual property, that's okay. They probably weren't going to be here long anyway. Alright, so the cape's coming together. I'm blocking out the colors for where we're going to lay the white. Celester Gray is quite possibly the best paint that Games Workshop has produced. A non-chalky off-white that you can build up to a solid white off of. So what I like to do, this is how I painted all the white for my cloaks on my Stormcast dudes. The last time I had Stormcast. Essentially, Celester Gray, and then you go over that with a thin wash of Nuln Oil, just to kind of deepen some of the shadows, and then you pick out all the raised parts with Ulthuan Gray, and then you do your extreme edge highlights with White Scar. So you're, even though it looks white, actually most of the material is some form of gray, because rarely are things fully pure white. We are not monogamous with IP. Let's see. As a kid, I remember my mother yelling at me because I was jumping on the spot where the acrobatics in Morrowind. And she had no idea what I was doing. Just noise. Oh, the crack, crack. Yes, I remember that sound. I can hear it in my sleep. If AOS gets Khajiit, will the Elder Scrolls take halflings? That's a fair trade. It's a fair trade, totally. I would be down for that. Let's see, Doug. How do I get Agrex Earthshade to not look so streaky? Ooh, okay. So that tells me you're putting, well, the thing is, shades in general don't work super well on large open surfaces. So if you're getting streaks, what I would suggest is whatever color you put below it, just do that again on the top to kind of rebuild some of that color, and then do highlights and layers from there. That would be my suggestion. Elder Scrolls 6 is going to be old world. Oh man, can you imagine? Can you imagine if they made an Elder Scrolls game set in the old world fantasy? My god, people would just crap themselves with joy. I would love to have a race of like cat characters for AOS, to be perfectly honest with you. I think that would be really cool. What I'm mixing in now is a super diluted Nuln Oil. It might look fully black here on the screen, but I'm just adding some more shadows and taking all the pink down just a smidge. Got a little bright. Go back once this is done and pick out all the little jewels and stuff like that on his jewelry. He has little like spots for rare mineral stones or whatever. Okay, it fills in the dark parts where his eyes are. Sweet. Khajiit versus Skaven. Y'all ever go to Forge World and gawk at the boxes of tanks that are they're $1,000? I don't know if I gawk so much as scoff, but yes, I do totally. Where I'm just like, this is another level that I will never understand. I love Warhammer. It's the community is my livelihood. Also, I've never ever been tempted to pay that much money. I just remember when they came out with the price tag on that big AOS corn dude. I was just like, oh. And then just knowing like how spotty Forge World support can be. It's like, if they, I mean, I don't mean like customer service. They have great customer service, I'm told. I've only ever had to call them once, and it was like for a Necromunda thing. It wasn't a big deal. But I more mean like, they clear out and stop producing things every once in a while, and you're just like, bleh. Let's see. Any tips for playing Carriage and Overlords against Stormcast? I don't, but mainly because there's just lots of different kinds of Stormcast lists and KO lists. Heroes make a lot of the synergy when it comes to Stormcast armies, typically. I'm going to say typically. It's hard with a faction with that many options, and I do not keep shall we say, abreast on the meta to know if you're talking about like a competitive game. I would have no idea what they're taking. I'm not sure what's hot in Stormcast land right now. Am I romancing you with music, Doug? Oh, absolutely, always. Now live, the 2+ Tough OnlyFans page. This is the calming playlist from YouTube. I gotta say, it is pretty calm. I'm not here to yuck any yums, but my mortgage payment is 1K. I'm not buying a bunch of orc vehicles for that, even though I kind of wanna. Yeah, I mean, it's that's almost my monthly rent for this house. We have a full townhouse. Yeah, it's ridiculous. It's not ridiculous. I shouldn't say that. It's not ridiculous. Hey, if you want to spend the money on it, you earned it, you know, and you didn't steal to get it or whatever, and you're still responsible, and you're saving for your family and your future and stuff. Do whatever you want. I guess my mind immediately goes to, and this is an unfair stereotype on my part, so I'm gonna own it. I see some people at the game store sometimes who like, oh man, my wife's gonna kill me, but I gotta have this, and you're just like, bro, you're not a kid anymore, man. Grow up. If your wife's not gonna be happy with it, don't buy it. What are you doing? This is so not worth a marital argument. I promise. You know, that kind of stuff where it's just like, I don't know. Do better. You gotta be able to be an adult too. But my point is, if you can do all of that, then yeah, absolutely. I've just seen a lot of relationships end because somebody, you know, couldn't mature that way. So yeah. 1K to rent for a townhouse. Yeah, dude. That's why I moved from Seattle. I was like, man, once I went full time, we pay. So I think our rent is 13, like before utilities and stuff like that. It was almost 21 in Seattle. So yeah. 2,100. It was communicate with your wife. She isn't your mom. Exactly. It's all about how you put together your budget. See, I think that's a word that doesn't necessarily ring true. But the reason I think I am wrong in that stigma about Forge World stuff is because, you know, the people who spend that much money on Forge World, they had to have done some budgeting and reasonable purchases, I think, to make that much money. Or they're just single and they can do whatever the heck they want, in which case, YOLO. So I guess my point is, ultimately, I don't think that they're the same people. Like, I don't think the people who have the coin to drop on a 1K orc chopper are necessarily the same people who are at my local game store being like, oh, I'm gonna get in trouble with the old lady, ball and chain, you know. So that's important for me to keep in mind. Everybody's got their own little, I don't know, I was gonna say stigma, but that's not really quite the word I'm looking for, but you know, preconceived notions, I guess is kind of what I'm looking for. guys are coming together good. Now the Stormcast is going to require some line highlighting, but he is getting there. Almost 3K in the city? Yep. Forge World has Khajiit on their board. Wife and I are trying to buy in Orange County. Can't find anything bigger than a 1-bedroom. Cost less than 300K. Ugh. Nope. That's the official 2+ tough answer to that is nah. In 1 second, I was looking for a paint. Here we go. When I overspend, I take it all out of the plastic, don't get a receipt, and say I traded models with a friend. Oh my god. This is exactly what we're talking about. Oh man. We're a cheaper Cali. I love it. I have friends that lived over in, or that live in North Carolina. I have a buddy actually that works at the CDC. And he loves it out there. These are really small gems. Okay. We were thinking Nebraska a bit because I have some family out that way. You could be my neighbor. Nebraska's right next door. And from what I was told, they do have a pretty... I mean, you know, the problem with the Midwest is everything is like an hour away. Just because there's so much room. Like everything is literally 60 miles away to do anything. But like if you're gonna, you know, meet up for a game or something like that, you might have to do some traveling, but it's all nice. Lord knows, flat, easy driving roads. I would kill to be Doug's neighbor. I am nothing special. Nothing special. Plus, I'm so introverted, I bet you'd rarely see me. If I'm honest. I know everybody made the joke here when quarantine started about like, oh, okay, I'm just gonna, you know, just keep doing what I'm already doing, just stay at home. It's like, yeah, but I'm actually like that. Like, poor Jack had the hardest time getting me to even go like play a game, go to a store, go to an event, that kind of thing. But he stuck with it. If there isn't a pizza place within an hour, it's not civilized. I think that's a fair metric. Oh man. Don't buy more than you can paint. That's a good rule. See, Jess figured out a long time ago, it's like I do legitimately love trading and projects and that kind of stuff, and I think only once has she ever been like, did you trade something to get that? And I was just like, yep, I did. Wasn't a lie, I was just saying like, She rarely ever brings it up. Like, she doesn't want to feel like she's nagging or calling me out on stuff. So I don't give her any reason to, because that would be crappy of me to make her feel that she has to nag. Been that way for a while. I was on high doses of immunosuppressants the last 5 years. Yeah. Yep. Been yeah. It's just been a crazy several years for many folks. Okay. Now, as far as these models go, we're actually pretty much done, although it may not look like it. We just have the tabard and the stormcast, and then I'm going to brighten up the white on his cape. And then I'm saving all the basing for a big base-a-palooza, basically. But the pinks are done. The blues are looking good, in my opinion. I might just do a dry brush, just from the top down, just with a lighter blue, just to kind of break it up a bit more. But that would be it. I mean, honestly, they look great. All the jewels are picked out. You have obviously 2 different kinds of blues because I did the layering. And this guy, again, tabard, cape, and just some line highlights on the armor. And he is bueno to go. Actually, I can at least put that red down here. They're coming along. Oh, thank you so much. Yeah, I'm enjoying them here. I'm going to just put one last little touch, and then I'm probably going to hop off, give my voice a break. Let's see. Usually trade Gundam model kits for some units. That's cool. I tried getting into Gundam a while back just to have like a side thing, and then I realized, like, you know, what really motivates me to build models is to actually like use them for something, and so I didn't really see an opportunity for that for Gundam stuff. So I kind of let it go, but there are some crazy cool models out there for them. The thing is, I love painting, but man, do I hate building models. And you know, Gunpla Battle is a tabletop game. I've never heard of it. That's cool. How's it balanced so one guy doesn't just buy 10 kits, put all the guns on one guy? What are you using to stick them to bases temporarily? Oh no, they're on their base. I'm gonna go get the texture paint and just kind of fill it in here at the end. That's all. Just want to say I've been going through horrible times. Oh, buddy, I'm sorry. You'll help me out. Well, that's all. Just give some warm love over to Cody. Hang in there, buddy. Whatever it is, don't know. I can tell you, it probably gets better. So I'm gonna go ahead and log out, I think, for the day, but we'll come back. I'll probably finish this guy off cam because there's nothing exciting gonna happen. So, and these guys are all done. So, oh yeah, and the brims. I forgot we finished the brims. They look great. So anyway, I will try to remember to throw some pictures up for us, and then we'll come back next time. And what will we be painting next time? Let's see. Let's see, I think next time, let's do, I have to start burning through some of these heroes, right? So let's do, Mistweaver Sai, which is a model that I love, and tell you what, let's knock these stupid little goblins out. The goblin scuttlings or whatever they are. I have a feeling that they will go very quick because there's just not physically a lot to them. Yeah, then we got that, and then trying to count out my heroes. I like to divvy it up so I kind of do an every other sort of thing. So what heroes do I have left? I have 1, 2, 3, 4. Then a bunch of Tzaangor. Okay. 1, 2, 3. Okay. Yeah, alright, we can do this. Sweet. Yeah, we'll do that. We'll do Grotling Scuttlers and Mistweaver Sai next time. Aren't they unavailable? Yep, they were only ever available in this set. Which is a shame. People loved them. But anyway. Alright, friends. Thank you all so much for hanging out with me. I will catch you next time, tomorrow, same time, 10 a.m. Central Standard Time. Have yourselves a wonderful day, and happy wargaming.